Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Valerie Edgeworth, and I'm a CE consultant here at the Kentucky Department for Libraries and Archives, and it is right at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, so I want to go ahead and get us started for today's Library Link Up webinar, which is focusing on workforce development partnerships. I'm so grateful to have three presenters today from three different libraries who are going to discuss the partnerships that they have been involved in their libraries and communities. We have Natalie Rupert with us from Kenton County Public Library, Lisa Ledford from the Estill County Public Library, and Erin Williams from McCracken County Public Library. And any questions throughout today's presentation, I'll be here monitoring the chat, and feel free to go ahead and ask those questions, and we'll make sure that we get those answered. Any trouble with the audio or video or anything with your Adobe Connect, let me know in the chat as well, and I'll be happy to assist you with that. And so without further, I'm going to go ahead and shift our screen over here to Natalie, and I'll turn that time over to you.
Thanks, Valerie. I appreciate that. Can everybody hear me okay, I hope? So, anyways, I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Natalie Rupert. I'm a librarian and the manager of workforce development for the Kenton County Public Library System. If you don't know where we're located, we're in northern Kentucky. We're basically about 10 minutes south of Cincinnati. So we're basically part of an urban community, if you will. And that does have an effect on our workforce partnerships activities. Currently, we have multiple partnerships with our local universities and colleges, with some of our major businesses, with medical centers, places like that. But what I thought I'd focus on today was our key partnerships right now with the Kentucky Career Center, with Kentucky Adult Education, with our local Chamber of Commerce in Northern Kentucky, and then I'm going to touch base briefly on one you might not think of, which is partnerships with our local career coaches on workforce development issues. So first off, Kenton County is actually one of the 3 sites chosen to be part of the LEAF partnership in the state. LEAF was launched last April, but basically kind of got kicked off in September. LEAF stands for Library Economic Advantage Forum, kind of a long name. But what that means is that we are a partner, as far as the state is concerned, with the Kentucky Career Center and Kentucky Adult Education. We all think it's kind of an effort from the state to see if we can somehow combine resources and work more effectively together to help people find jobs. A little bit about me is I've only been a librarian for 9 years, and I do have a background in business. So when I started in the library world, I've always kind of felt that we should have a command of all the resources that are available for job seekers in the community, so that when they visit our reference desks, we can direct them to the right people that can help them, whether they're people looking for entry-level type roles or whether they're kind of 6-figure business people who maybe got downsized from jobs after being with companies for 25 to 30 years. So I've kind of taken that tactic, if you will. So first one I'm going to talk about is our partnership with the Northern Kentucky Career Center, which used to be called the One Stop. What we started to give you some history about the relationship is when the job market was totally the opposite of what it is right now. Back in 2009 and in 2010, we were we were going through construction at one of our buildings, and people thought we were closed, and we weren't. but I reached out to our branch manager and asked if maybe we could work with our Career Center to help them help people find jobs. So what we did is we sat down and talked to some managers at the Career Center and kind of heard about where they really needed help. What were the gaps in their service? And what we found out that problem areas were resume assistance, interview coaching, helping people build their computer skills. A lot of people still didn't have any at all. Helping people learn to search online for jobs, how to actually complete job applications, how to look for things, developing research on companies, things like that, developing LinkedIn profiles, and utilizing the Kentucky Focused Career site. For those of you that don't know, the Kentucky Focused Career site is the website that anyone who begins to collect unemployment insurance in our state are required to go to and build basically an online resume. What we did after that is we actually started hosting resume workshops ourselves, interviewing skills classes, we did some LinkedIn classes, and we also did some preliminary job searching online classes. But when we did that, we actually asked staff from the Kentucky Career Center to teach those classes. It was sort of our beginning of our relationships with a lot of people that worked at the Kentucky Career Center, whether they were business development specialists, whether they work for the Office of Employment and Training, whether they work for the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. We just really started to get to know each other. And what we did was some people, depending on which government organization they work for, couldn't help us in the day, but we could pay them a programming fee and they would host classes for us in the evenings. And that would be like a resume workshop or a LinkedIn profile workshop. And we would pay them a fee of $50 just because they were new, a professional in the area, they had a great background, that kind of thing. Other people at the Career Center were actually allowed to teach classes for us as part of their jobs. That was considered outreach for them, and we had people teaching interview skills classes for us right at the library. We were also able to utilize some of our own HR staff to teach some of our interviewing skills classes. We happen to have 3 HR people on our staff, which I know not everybody has that many, but they're several of them, their kind of pet project in HR is teaching people how to better interview. So we utilize them. So we had pretty much minimal costs on that front. So that's how we got started. We also, what I was going to say, if you don't have a connection with the Kentucky Career Center yet, some of the titles for key people to reach out to there are their operator general, who are the people that basically run their whole physical facility, or their manager of workforce development, who kind of controls the people that are working with job seekers, and also a person that would be known as their workforce innovation and opportunity act liaison, other known as WIO, the people that will help job seekers get government money to take additional training. Those are all really good contacts to have there. Another thing that we did historically was we asked a manager from the Office of Employment and Training to actually come to each of our physical branches and teach our adult services staffs how to access Kentucky Focused Career themselves. so that they would be able to better assist patrons when they came into the library. So if you happen to go out to that website, in the past it's known to be very unwieldy for people, and it was difficult for people with minimal skills to access and use the software. But there were tons of jobs in their database for entry-level type jobs. It was easier for professional level people to access it, but there were less professional level like roles. That site, though, has basically been improved a lot. I noticed in checking with some of my other colleagues that several people are utilizing other resume building sites right now, like Cypress Resume, for example. People can go and build resumes in Kentucky Focused Career now, and they get immediate feedback because once they walk through the process and built a resume in Kentucky Focused Career, the state will start sending them weekly emails on jobs that are available to them that fit their skill set. So tells you a little bit about what we've done there. One of the things I wanted to point out too is when we contacted the Career Center to start partnering with them, we did not create any new resources. We just recognized what their needs were and kind of utilized the resources that the library had to kind of fill those gaps. So some of the resources we had, which are basically common sense, are we had classroom space, we had computers, we were open in the evenings, we were open on weekends. Our staff was customer focused, as I'm sure all of yours are too. We also had programming budgets that we could pay for some classes here and there, and we had research tools that we like to use. So as outcomes of that initial partnership, we hosted a job fair with 53 employers that was attended by over 1,000 job seekers in January of 2014. And that job fair basically opened up the community eyes to the resource that libraries could be. Because with 53 employers being there, that was really about 106 people, a lot of them had kind of stopped using the library as professionals, and they really weren't aware of all the things we had going on, and that we could be a resource for them in helping people find jobs. All of a sudden, it opened some eyes there. We also, anybody that came in the building, we have our own tables to encourage people to get library cards, and we got a lot of exposure through that event. We also hosted what was called the Northern Kentucky Career Center Professional Networking Group. They developed a name for that group called the Greenlight Group. In that group, it was basically just for professional level job seekers. They ended up meeting every Friday afternoon at the library. Well, they had a new career center being built at the time. As luck would have it, because the people were coming to the library and using their meeting space, I saw that as an opportunity to educate them about all the resources that the library had in helping them with their job searches. So every time that group met, I would highlight a different library resources that they could use, whether it was Reference USA or Demographics Now, or pointing out the ability to use our small room meeting space that had like a flat screen, a computer, and a whiteboard in it to do networking meetings, things like that. So we got some great exposure there. And I worked closely with the person from the Career Center that was the host of that group. And as he learned about library resources, he was continually taking them back to the Career Center. So we were always getting exposure there. Then the Career Center decided that they wanted to start a small group meeting, which they called an accountability group. And that was a time when people that were looking for jobs could get together in a small group setting every week and hold each other accountable to the status of their job search. So the people were getting together with someone from the Career Center and talking about what interviews they had that week, what applications they submitted, any kind of results they got back, how they did their thank you letters, how the interviews went, all those kinds of things. And when the Career Center decided to do that, they asked the library to host that meeting every week. So we became the space for that group too. We also started presenting to both staff at the Career Center and to job seekers on how to use specific resources at their new facility once it was finished. So some of the things that we presented on were Gale courses, Reference USA, Demographics Now, how to use Learning Express, just to give you a few of things that we went ahead and presented on when we were there. So that was a huge step in our partnership. Since then, the KCPL has also been invited to host and to participate in long-range planning meetings for workforce development that were sponsored by the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board. So a lot of things there. Currently, as of March, Kenton County Public Library became what we refer to as an official partner in writing of the Kentucky Career Center, meaning that our director signed a memorandum of understanding, formalizing our role in workforce development. So what that means for us is on all the Kentucky Career Center literature that is handed out to people in the community, our name and our logo are on there, and people are continually referred to us as a partner in helping people find jobs. Most recently, and this is a brand new activity for us, as part of that partnership, we have been invited to attend weekly Career Center orientation meetings for people that are brand new to collecting unemployment insurance. What this means is that if you're a job seeker, let me step back here. If you lose your job and you want to apply for unemployment insurance, in the state of Kentucky, it is mandatory that you attend one of these orientations at the physical site that's closest to you. So at these weekly meetings, there are about 50 people from the 12 different counties serviced by our Kentucky Career Center. So a member of our staff from one of our 3 branches attends that meeting, and we have our own slide where we're able to talk to all these brand new job seekers about the resources that we alone have available to them. So it's a great opportunity for us. We also had one of our librarians who regularly teaches all our computer classes. She formatted and planned a class that basically addresses first-time computer user skills in combination with all the skills that job seekers need to apply for jobs. And she teaches that twice a month at the Career Center. So it's one of our librarian staff teaching this class at the Career Center. It works out great because she teaches the class, but then if people want to grow their skills beyond those basic rudimentary skills, they're then referred directly back to our library branches for further coursework. So it's kind of a win-win situation on both ends. We will also be hosting the New You job fair again for the third time this January. And if any of you haven't hosted a job fair in conjunction with a Kentucky Career Center, I highly encourage you to do it. What we do is we supply the building, the tables and chairs, the parking. We do some public relations for them. But basically that's all we have to do. It's an opportunity for us to showcase our resources to both employers and job seekers. The Kentucky Career Center takes total control of contacting all the employers who are going to participate in the event. They also get the word out to all the local job seekers that it's going on. So they basically do all the heavy lifting, and their staff are wonderful about helping us come in and set up for the event hours before it. While the event is going on, they always do a catered lunch, and they always supply lunch for all the library staff that are working that day, which is wonderful. What else? And we've done some extra things for them as well, like we've offered to take LinkedIn photographs during our job fairs, and they supply this to us so that the job seekers can then take their photo with them wherever they go to upload to LinkedIn or use it on other social media sites. They also have exposure to our new makerspace that we call the Stream Center, and to all the technology and equipment that they can use there, both on the employer side if they need to create name badges or make posters or things like that, and for the job seekers themselves to grow their skills, however that may be. So those are things that are happening with the Career Center. Take a breath here. What I think are the key there are the relationships. The Career Center staff have become really knowledgeable. Our KCPL staff have become very knowledgeable about Career Center resources, what they do, what the different staff are responsible for, where to direct people there for resume classes, for one-on-one help with resumes. So when we get those people coming to their desks that have no clue how to start our resume, we know exactly where to send them at the Career Center, and vice versa. They know about resources at the library and are constantly referring people to us. So we have a lot of interaction there. Obviously, we teach classes at the Kentucky Career Center still on the topics that I mentioned, and we still have their staff come and teach classes for us. Most recently, we've had Career Center staff teach classes on online security, doing your job search, for example. That's something big that we do. We also receive, post, and share their information that they send out every week on new jobs that have been posted to the Kentucky Focus Career site in our area. They also tell us about employer hiring events that are going on at their facility and at other locations, at things like at the airports or at specific employers like Amazon or DHL or Wayfair or places like that, and about any job fairs that are going on in the area. So we have a constant flow of information from them. We also are invited to attend their Partners for Success quarterly staff meetings so that we stay aware of all the workforce development resources available in our area. So when I mention I can only talk to you about a few relationships, we have a myriad of them based on this partnership in multiple areas. Another new thing that we're doing is we are now hosting 2 Youth Career Connections interns, which are wonderful. They come through the Career Center's Youth Connections program, and how that works right now is we have 1 intern working in our outreach department, and what that young woman does is make phone calls to patrons. She makes reminder calls. She processes paperwork. She pulls holds, all those kinds of things. And we have another intern here at the Erlanger Library that works in our Stream Center. They basically have been trained on all our Stream Center equipment. So if a patron comes into the room, they'll be able to teach and help them with that. They also make reminder phone calls about appointments. The really nice thing is we are allowed to use the interns for up to 650 work hours before they have to leave us and hopefully go on to work at a real job once they acquire skills. But they are totally paid by the Career Center, and they're paid a really great wage of $13.25 an hour. So again, they are working at the library. They're interns for us doing valuable work, but they're being paid by their Career Center, by the Career Center through their grant program. Another key relationship that's part of this partnership is our executive director sits on our local workforce investment board, so he stays aware at a very broad level on what's going on in the community. And Valerie's reminding me that I'm going to run out of time, so I'll try to move a little faster here. For Kentucky Adult Education, what we do with them is we host the performance skills and the workshops classes here at the libraries. A Kentucky Adult Education instructor teaches those classes, which lead to a Kentucky Essential Skills Certificate. We've also hosted GED classes for Kentucky Adult Education in the past. We also work with a local Chamber of Commerce. We have made it a point to have several of our adult services staff sit on planning committees for the Chamber, which involves us in their events. And the Chamber is now using our building space for many pre-library opening events, like breakfast for the business community. That's been great, and it's been a very win-win situation for all of us as well. They increase our gate count, and all these people are leaving right when the library is open, so we encourage them all to get library cards on their way out if they don't have them. Now, one thing I wanted to get through really quickly here, because you might not think of it, our partnership with local career coaches. We've sought out and developed partnerships with well-respected and well-known career coaches. They teach programs for us at minimal or low fees, and it's great for them because they continually refer clients to our programs, but we share their contact information so they grow their business. We also highlight the coaches in weekly meetings or weekly emails that we feature through success stories we tell about our job seekers. You can meet them through your local workforce investment board and through attending SHRMs, which are human resources meetings. I don't have enough time to go through more, but this slide is just a picture of the Northern Kentucky Accountability Group. I mentioned that in an earlier slide that we helped the Kentucky Career Center when they started this group by hosting it, but for the last 3 years, we've kind of we have taken the group over, and we run it. And every week we network live job seekers with library resources to help them in their job search. And I'm actually going to be doing a presentation on using a professional networking group to familiarize people with your community resources at KLA in September. So I won't go into any more detail so I can let my colleagues keep going. Sorry to be so long-winded. Thanks, Valerie.
Thank you so much, Natalie. There are so many wonderful things going on at Kenton County. It's hard to squeeze it all in a small amount of time, but you did a wonderful job with that. 2 questions, Natalie, if you don't mind to think about, and then we'll respond at the end. One person had a question about just in your beginning stages, did your Chamber of Commerce assist you with the initial partnerships? And then another question that came up for you was your lesson plans with the Career Center. Could those be shared? So if you want to think about that while I switch things over to Lisa, we should have a few minutes at the end time for questions.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Lisa, we are going to turn the time over to you. Lisa is at Estill County Public Library. Lisa, you ready?
I am.
All right, it's all yours.
Thank you. Like you said, I'm Lisa Lefford. I'm at the Estill County Public Library. That's like in eastern Kentucky, around the Red River Gorge, that area. I've been here for about a year, and some of this is all new to me, but I've dived in and I'm learning. So on that note, Workforce Development Partnership, I'm still growing in this, but this is my first one that I've actually done. But I had a partnership with the Kentucky Career Center. I contacted Adult Ed to see about doing a resume class back in the winter, and I had to have so many signed up to attend the workshop. So I started registering people, and so I had enough to register. I got a hold of Mary Skipper at the Adult Ed. She's been a gem to me with partnering in different areas and stuff. But so she put me in touch with the lady at the Kentucky Career Center, the Bluegrass area. And so Renee come and she done a resume workshop with me, and then I just started thinking, we need to broaden this a little bit. What are they going to do with the resume after we get done with the class? So I started just brainstorming with people here, and we were doing the candidate forums, and I mentioned I'd like to do a job fair here in Estill County. And one of the ladies that was on the forum, she works with the Board of Education, and so she's like, well, if you do a job fair, let me know. We need bus drivers. So that kind of got me thinking, well, maybe there's other businesses here that would be interested in coming and talking about their businesses and stuff. So I got that started. Well, it kind of blossomed and stuff before I even got the word out, and Tony Horn come into the library, and I didn't know anything about him, but he's a sergeant with the Kentucky National Guard, and so he is coming this summer to do summer reading programs, and so he's going to be talking about educational benefits of the Kentucky National Guard, and he's also going to come do job interview skills. And the lady from the Kentucky, Renee McFall, she done some of it, and the do's and don'ts of what you should wear, and, she done a great job. But we want to do some more about job interview skills. So Tony Horn's going to be doing that. And I'm hoping it's a great turnout. I'm really trying to focus it towards teens and young adults and stuff that's just starting into a career or looking for a career or ways to get education paid for or anything like that to get set. So back to planning the job fair. So I started brainstorming and trying to play around with some dates, and so I just set a date, time, and I thought, well, what if this is going to go too big because our library is small? So I contacted the Board of Education and got permission to use their gym and stuff. And I started getting a list of businesses that might be interested, and I started writing them down with phone numbers. And then one day I just started calling these people, and so far I've got 12 businesses signed up, and that's factories, restaurants, and some of them are not even from our area. Some of them from Wolf County, and just local areas that people have come in and said, oh, I heard you was doing a job fair. These businesses would be interested. So it just built from there. So in August, I'll be having the first job fair on the 31st of August. I've invited even temporary services like Adeco, Nesco, and local business. McDonald's is on board because they're constantly hiring. And I know that's probably not, the McDonald's and Hardee's, that's just a starter. But, I mean, McDonald's has even got an educational scholarship thing now that they'll pay for your education. So, but the adult ed is also going to come and sit up and hand out information about their GED classes, which is a good promotional thing for them. And the Kentucky Career Center, when they found out I was doing the job fair, they want to come and, assist with questions and, just help the citizens here in Estill County too. So, I'm not originally from Estill County. I live in Powell County, but, like it says here, if you want something, don't be afraid to ask. The worst they can say is no. I did get a few no's. That's fine. There's other businesses out there that's coming. I'm even trying to get a recruiter for the Army and the National Guard that's going to be here for the job fair, too, to answer any of those questions. And from learning with this fall or this winter, I'm hoping to do a college fair for, the local students and the high school students and just, kind of promote things for the community through using the library and library sources and stuff. And that's all I have, Valerie.
Thank you, Lisa. That's great. We're so excited to have all of our presenters today, but this was Lisa's first webinar. So I know that first one you present at can be a little bit nerve-wracking, but thank you so much for including all those wonderful things that Estill County has going on. If there's any questions for Lisa, please feel free to go ahead and type those in the chat box, and I'll make sure that Lisa gets to them at the end. For the sake of time, Aaron, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to you. And Aaron, there at the end, if you could just leave me about 4 minutes, I think we'll have enough time, all right?
All right, you got it. Can everybody hear me?
Aaron.
All
yep,
right.
You're good.
Excellent. So, good afternoon. I'm Aaron Williams, the Adult and Digital Services Librarian here at McCracken County Public Library. Today I'm going to be talking to you about our recent partnership with our local Kentucky Career Center and the Adult Learning Center. I'm going to talk about how it got started and what we're doing to continue it, and how you can do something similar at your library. So this partnership began with a meeting with the director of our Adult Learning Center, which is based out of the West Kentucky Community and Technical College. Adult Ed was looking for a site that was more accessible to potential students in downtown Paducah, since the community college is a fair distance from our location and would be difficult to reach for people with transportation issues. The library, on the other hand, was looking for a way to connect patrons to learning opportunities at the Adult Learning Center. The Adult Ed director had actually heard of the Library Economic Advantage Forum, or LEAF for short, that Natalie mentioned in her presentation, and wanted to try and emulate it here in Paducah. We decided to pull the manager of our local Kentucky Career Center, John Pendergrass, into our conversation, and he was kind enough to oblige us with a meeting. And so from there, we decided on a basic format for a pilot program. We determined that it was going to be 6 classes held here at the library on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday mornings from 9 a.m. to noon. We would conduct all the classes in our second floor computer lab. The first 2 classes would be an introduction to library resources and a 2-part resume workshop taught by the library. The third and fourth classes would be GED prep courses taught by the Adult Learning Center. The fifth class would be a job readiness skills class taught by the Kentucky Career Center. And the final class would offer participants the chance to have a mock interview with library management. So once we were ready to get the ball rolling and begin signing up students for class, I created a Google spreadsheet that I shared with our partners. We used that registration at all 3 of our sites. We plan to limit our initial class size to 10, but we did not get the turnout we expected in the first series of classes. We had created flyers and distributed them in the library and out in the community at organizations like the Paducah Cooperative Ministry, the Halfway House, and 2 local drug rehabilitation centers. We also made several posts on our Facebook and Twitter accounts about the classes, but despite these efforts, we unfortunately had only 2 sign-ups, and of those 2 sign-ups, only 1 person showed up. This did, however, give us an opportunity to provide that student with a lot of support. One other obstacle we had during our first round of classes was the Adult Learning Center being unable to provide us instructors for only 1 student. What we ended up doing instead was reducing their commitment to 1 class and having a representative come and speak to our student about GED prep classes and skill certification offerings. This would actually become an important trend for our next round of classes. So this is a picture of our first graduate of the first series of classes. We did end up graduating 1 student at the end of the ACE pilot program. We were very pleased about that. She completed her mock interview with the Adult Services Manager and myself, and we also had her fill out a survey about her experience. The survey was formatted around the Public Library Association's project outcome, and it gave us some very useful feedback. We asked our students on a 5-point scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree if they learned something that was helpful, if they're more aware of resources and services provided by the library, if they intend to apply what they've just learned, and if they feel more confident about what they've just learned. We also ask them more open-ended questions like what they like the most about the program and what the library could do to better assist them in learning more. Our first student in particular told us that she learned to listen and to learn, and that there was no barriers that she had to let hold her back. So that was really amazing feedback to get, and the kind of thing that makes putting all the work into these classes worth it. So I was ready to go back to the drawing board after our first series of classes only brought in 1 student. However, our partner John over at the Kentucky Career Center told me in our second to last class that if we offered the series again in May, he thought they could fill it up for us. This was as a result of the new work requirement laws beginning to kick in. So we did end up offering the classes again, and this time with some alterations. ACE was going to consist of 4 classes over the course of 2 weeks instead of 6 classes. 2 classes would be taught by the library, 1 would be taught by the Adult Learning Center, and 1 would be taught by the Kentucky Career Center. We also changed up our marketing for ACE Part 2. We created an official Facebook event in addition to our scheduled post that announced it on Facebook and Twitter. We also issued a press release about our partnerships and the classes that we were offering. The press release made the Life section of the Sunday edition of the Paducah Sun. This was good publicity for the library, the Career Center, and the Adult Education Program. We saw an impact in our class sign-ups too. We had 9 sign up for our second series of classes, and 6 students regularly attended. So we knew we wanted to offer ACE again in June. We'd had several students ask about June classes for their friends and family, but with summer reading upon us, space was going to be an issue. The second floor is our Youth Services Department, And so they were really going to need the meeting rooms and the computer lab for their kids and teen programming. I ended up going to John and saying, look, do you think you could host the classes at the Kentucky Career Center in June? And he was happy to accommodate us. So ACE Part 3 will begin just down the street from us at our local Career Center in just a few short days. We are keeping our revised structure of 4 classes, with the library teaching the first 2, the Adult Learning Center teaching the third, and the Kentucky Career Center teaching the final class. With ACE being held at the Career Center, I'm hoping to utilize their resources by arranging some mock interviews for our students at the conclusion of the class series. So we've done a couple of other activities and programs through our ACE partnership. Early on in the process, I actually went out to the Adult Learning Center at WKCTC and taught a class on Learning Express Library and Kentucky Libraries Unbound for their students. We are in talks to provide that class again for students this fall. I've gotten pretty involved in our local Chamber of Commerce. I'm an active member of the Chamber's Paducah Young Professionals Group. Bobby Wrinkle and I presented Your Library Equals Your Partner in Business Success last spring as part of Small Business Appreciation Month at the Chamber. Most recently, I attended the Chamber's Business and Education Partnership Luncheon and a networking workshop, again, for Small Business Appreciation Month. I was also part of the Kentucky Career Center's informational booth at a recent job fair put on by KCC. That opportunity came by invitation from John because of our work together on ACE. I've also worked on a web page for job seekers with our Systems and Web Services librarian. That can be found at www.mclib.net/jobseekers, and it's chock full of useful links from the first steps a job seeker needs to take, like setting up an email address, to building their skills through library resources like Learning Express Library, to applying for jobs with local employers, and providing other helpful resources like professional networking groups. We also linked to the Facebook pages of both of our partners, and they were very pleased with this addition to our website. The library has also recently acquired lynda.com from LinkedIn and Microsoft. It's really a powerhouse online learning platform that we're excited to be adding to our digital services this coming fiscal year. If there are staff from a public library that are already using Lynda on this webinar today, I'm certainly open to suggestions on how to market and utilize it in the context of workforce development partnerships. We're also playing the long game of workforce development with the coding classes for kids and teens we're hosting at the library, at our local Boys and Girls Club, and at Paducah's Community Innovation Hub, which is known as Sprocket. The classes have been not only an opportunity for us to develop a homegrown talent pipeline for the future, but they've also given us a chance to create new partnerships and reimagine existing ones. Through the library's Ready to Code grant, we've worked with our city public school system and with Computer Services Incorporated. That's a local employer and IT company here in Paducah. And this is a perfect example of making stakeholders your partners in workforce development. And then finally, as you can see in the picture here, we've also bolstered our adult nonfiction collection with some new titles on resumes, cover letters, job searching, and LinkedIn. We got a lot of our stuff from the For Dummies series as well as the Knock 'em Dead series, if anyone is looking for book recommendations. And we created a display on our first floor with these new books that also served as promotion for our adult career education classes. So what challenges have we faced throughout this process? Well, there were several, and I've already touched on a few. We had the marketing and attendance challenge, which we overcame by including an official Facebook event for the classes and issuing a press release to the local media. We had the space issue for our upcoming classes, which we solved by leaning on the relationships we built with our other partners. One issue I haven't mentioned yet is a change of leadership at the Adult Learning Center right before our first round of classes began. The initial director we'd worked all the details out with left, and we needed to convey the vision of the program to the interim director. Fortunately, we were able to do so, and we got the new director's buy-in. But just be aware that you may not always be dealing with the same people when you enter into these partnerships, and kind of plan accordingly. And then as far as advice that I have to other libraries out here looking to develop these kind of partnerships in their community, these kinds of partnerships do require that you put yourself out there. I'm not the most extroverted person, but I've had to attend a number of meetings, networking events, and give a few presentations to get us where we are today. I remember I called Natalie at Kenton County a few months back before we started ACE and asked for her advice, and she gave me the single best piece of advice that I can give to you. The most difficult and most important part of these partnerships is actually forging the relationships and then getting the programs off the ground. After you get out your ideas and refine them and come up with a plan to make them happen, the rest of the process can be relatively easy and automated. It does still require persistence, though. And that's all I've got today.
Thank you, Aaron, so much, and what a great piece of advice there. I really enjoy getting to facilitate these Library Link Up webinars because we get to see the trends and a variety of size of libraries and various locations throughout the Commonwealth, and we can see the benefits and of all your hard work and labor that all three of you have been involved in each of your systems with developing these partnerships and taking that step. Lisa, you're absolutely right. It's the hardest part. If you all have any other questions, I have two for Natalie so far. Natalie, we had talked about the one from Janine. On the beginning stages, did your Chamber of Commerce assist with initial partnerships? And then are you willing to share that lesson plan when you were talking about that section in the Career Centers?
Sure, Valerie. First of all, on the lessons plan, Susan Rashi, our librarian that put that lesson plan together, I can easily send that to you. If you just shoot me an email, I'll ask her for the outline, and I can get that right out to you.
And Natalie, if you just want to send it to me, I'll be happy to attach it to the follow-up email for attendees. I'd love to do that.
I can do that.
Perfect.
And then as far as the Chamber of Commerce goes, that was more our director saying to me, yes, you can participate more in the chamber, and it's just like Aaron said. Once you get on the committees and you start helping, everybody starts getting to know you and finding out what resources you have. And then the best part of working with the chamber is they think that the library is so easy to work with than other organizations, so they just naturally start coming to us. I wouldn't say they started or helped us get it off the ground, so to speak. It was kind of just a natural progression of things as we got to know each other better. Just like what Aaron said, you know, getting out there, participating, attending events, and of course your staff has to be, you have to have enough staff to be able to allow people to do that. One of the key things for us is since we are hosting a number of the chamber events, we're on site and they're coming here, which makes it easier for us, especially when they're doing the before hours events.
Right, yeah, and I like that concept of being available before regular hours so that you can actually focus on that.
Right.
As well. And I noticed you also added two resources here for two different books in the chat there that could be of benefit to several of our attendees. Well, just as we're wrapping up, we want to give a shout out to the Institute for Museum and Library Services, IMLS, for helping sponsor this webinar today. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We have a lot of fun things going on, and we'll have notifications of conferences and upcoming webinars and things of that nature on there. Here's a list of a few webinars that are coming up that may or may not be of interest to you. We have one more in June, Promos That Pop, Photoshop Basic for Librarians. Tammy Blackwell from Marshall County and Lauren Abner here at KDLA will be doing that webinar, and I encourage you to, if that interests you at all, to visit the CE calendar and register for that. And then there will be a little bit of a break again over the summer, and we'll get back started in mid-August with some of our webinars here at KDLA, and we have 2 great ones coming up in August as well. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to all 3 of our presenters today, to Natalie, Lisa, and Aaron. Couldn't have done it without you. You guys are the ones out there on the front lines, and this is such a very important topic. Also wanted to change it over here to our last screen. If you had not already downloaded the slides or printed them off, if you want them, you can download them here from our closing screen. We also have here, just to the left of the chat box, is the survey link. If you click on that Workforce Development Partnership, the Browse To link will pop up, and you can go ahead and click that Browse To and go ahead and complete the survey regarding today's webinar. These survey results are extremely important to us and for our reporting purposes to IMLS, so we are always very grateful to have that feedback from you. I hope you guys have a good rest of your afternoon. Presenters, anything else?
No, thanks, Valerie.
Yes,
Wonderful. Thank you all so very much for appreciating. I hope everyone has a good rest of the day. Thank you all so much.